whoa. If you didn't buy his liquor, he would, like, bars that refused to buy his liquor, he'd blow them up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As many as 100 people were killed in the 1920s from these types of bombings. And people saw Capone as responsible for the, I can't say that word, proliferation?
Liberation, yeah.
Yeah, proliferation of brothels in the city. And I just wanted to point out, this was one of the cars Al Capone had when he was attacked. You can see all these bullet holes, the glass is broken. This was the car he got afterwards. It's said to be bulletproof. He got it because of this attack. I mean, cars back then were really thick, but he was really lucky he didn't get killed because the driver's window was completely destroyed. That's his mugshot. He was arrested several times, unlike what you saw in the Untouchables. He was arrested in 1929 for concealed carrying an unregistered weapon, and he was let out in 1930 on good behavior and due to some people saying that he's like a good citizen and he did a lot for the community. He went to court in 1929 for violating his prohibition laws. I don't know where I got probation. And he was charged with contempt of court during his trial. You saw that during the Untouchables. That didn't happen in his income tax case, though, only with the prohibition. And then the reason why they were able to get him for income tax is due to the Supreme Court case, U.S. versus Sullivan, which said that illegally earned income can and should be taxed. And you get a special form, it's called a 1040. If you go to the IRS website, there's a bunch of links to it. And you also have to claim like stolen cars, like anything stolen or illegally earned. He never did that, which is why he ended up getting arrested for income tax evasion. The way he died, like I said, January 25th, 1947. This is actually his official certificate of death. His official cause of death on there is cardiac arrest, but what actually killed him is called paresis. It's late-stage syphilis, which he picked up while being a bouncer at brothel. And then that's his gravestone, like the flat one. That's where he actually is buried. With the big monument, that's not where he's buried. It's more just like a memorial. He's buried in Mount Carmel Cemetery in Chicago. So the legacy he left. He's arguably one, if not the, most famous American gangsters. He was a character in the show The Godfather. He was an ally of the main character, Vito Corleone. He, as well as other gangsters, inspired the adult cartoon Forget About It. You can even kind of see the main character kind of looks like him. He was a hero to a lot of American people until the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. A lot of people thought he was responsible for that, but he wasn't even in Chicago. He was in Miami. So his family. So there was a man named Chris W. Knight. He did a lot of research in his family's history and found out that he's one of the illegitimate children of Al Capone. But officially we know that he had a son named Sonny, but Chris's being like his great-great-grandson proves that we really don't know how many kids he had. We have no idea how big his lineage is, because Chris Knight's father is Al Capone's grandson, but the name was changed along the generations, and who knows how many times that's happened. So I don't know, I can't get over how much like Torino and Al Capone look a lot like the main characters in Forget About It. This is a picture of them. There's definitely nothing on his shoulder. This is a picture of Al Capone playing his banjo in his cell in the Eastern State Penitentiary. I'm not sure which charge he was in there for. I'm pretty sure it was income tax. And this is his cell that he had in Alcatraz. They moved him to Alcatraz because it was really clear that because of the amount of socialization he had in the Eastern State Penitentiary, he was getting away with a lot of things. And he was getting a lot of privileges that no one else had, like having access to talk to other people. And I also heard that he was finding ways to connect with other mafia-related people. And this is the cell he had. Okay, I have backwards. The previous picture was his cell in the Eastern State Penitentiary. You can kind of see all the stuff he was able to get a hold of. And this is the cell he had in Alcatraz. Really just bare bones. And then that's him in his funeral. Oh. Yeah, that's just kind of
Any
the...
questions? How long did he serve in prison for the income tax?
I don't remember off the top of my head. If I remember right, it was about 20 years, but technically he didn't serve as much. Because of the syphilis infecting his brain, he essentially had no mental capacities left towards the end of his sentence. So he was moved to the hospital ward of Alcatraz, and he spent the last few years there. And when he did die in his Miami estate, he was surrounded by people that he loved and respected, and I don't know. So I don't know if you could even really call that prison, because he was essentially just in a hospital for the last few years.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, about halfway through, from the official Alcatraz website, he didn't know where he was anymore.
How accurate was Untouchables? Did you say 5%?
Not at all. Really, the only thing that I saw that was like accurate was blowing up bars that didn't use his alcohol. That was really about it.
All right, good job. Well done. Good beginning. Are you going today? Okay. Black Sox? All right, let's do it. Can let me get it set up? Good start. Yeah, these are good. And the same deal, I will obviously narrow it down some. I could give 1,000 different questions, but I'm not going to. Okay, Black Sox. Okay. Just hit cancel. I'll hit cancel. Why isn't this working? Oh.
Here we are.
Because I have to click that button. Give me 1 sec. All right, go.
All right, Black Sox.
Did that move the mouse over? Let me do it.
There we go. Got it. All right, a little bit of background. 1919. So this is the owner of the Chicago White Sox, Charles Comiskey, also known as Tommy or the Old Roman. He was a great, he was a former player, great former player. And so he eventually retired from playing and became an owner. So at the time, baseball wasn't actually a great career for the players specifically. A lot of them could barely make ends meet with super low pay. The White Sox actually earned their nickname Black Sox because Comiskey refused to have their uniforms cleaned. So over time, they got more of a dark, black, dirty color rather than the white uniforms. Yes.
Was Charles' Tommy nickname had any association with the Red Scare or communism?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And also, players couldn't switch teams to try and get better pay or anything because of the reverse clause. And the reverse clause basically states that if you sign a contract with a specific team, you cannot enter another contract. Oh, and also, betting is huge in baseball. It's huge in baseball at the time.
So was it like betting on a team to win?
Yes.
You get extra money from it?
Yes.
Okay.
Conspiracy. One of the players, Chick Gamble, is just done with Comiskey's miserliness with the low pay, and he was also pretty mean to his team. Then again, all the owners of baseball teams were. But he meets with bookmaker Joe Sport Sullivan, and they formulate a plan to throw the upcoming World Series that the White Sox are going to play against the Cincinnati Reds. And so Sport Sullivan actually has a lot of connections to the New York mob. So the mob basically finances the entire thing. After the main plan is formulated, they 7 other White Sox join in on the fix, and they have secret meetings between the players and the gamblers and negotiate the deal. It eventually comes to an $80,000 deal. Mouse. And then on the big day, the start of the 1919 World Series, the White Sox have to basically signal to the gamblers that they're going through with the plan. So pitcher Eddie Seacott throws like a lightning fast pitch and purposefully strikes the starting batter on the opposing team, and that signals that they're going through with the plan. And for the rest of the game and for the rest of the series, the White Sox would purposefully play really badly, throw the game. 2 or 3 games in, though, so the deal was the gamblers were supposed to give the Sox their money after each game lost, but 2 or 3 games in, not a single cent. And when they asked them about it, the gamblers said that the money was in the hands of other bookmakers. So they basically revoked the promised payments. And so everyone, especially Chick Gandil, is furious that they're taking back on their deal. So they tried to double-cross the gamblers by winning the series. And so they actually they make a good comeback. And so since it's a best-of-9 series, both teams are at 4-4. So the last game, the 9th game, would be the final one. The mob takes note of this, and they send brutes, so basically big, intimidating guys, to threaten the players and their families. And so at that point, the White Sox basically have no choice but to lose the series, throw the game. So the gamblers eventually get some betting money back. Each player received $5,000, which is actually way less than what they were supposed to get in the first place. Somehow Gandil gets an extra $30,000. I don't know how. It wasn't clear on. I think it was said to be some sort of reward or something, but I don't know. I don't know what he did to get that, and it's still unclear. So the next year, Chick Gandil actually left the White Sox to play in semi-pro games. But because of the suspicion, because fans and sports writers are suspicious of the awful plays that were done on purpose in the World Series, a grand jury is assembled to investigate not only the White Sox and the fix, but also the entire conduct of betting in baseball. So the grand jury is assembled. First thing they do is question pitcher Eddie Seacott. He confesses almost immediately, and well, he basically broke down, got really emotional. I had to feed. I have a wife and kids to feed. I had no choice. I can barely make ends meet because of Comiskey's terrible pay. So after that, Comiskey suspends the entire team mid-season, and the Clean Sox, aka the players who weren't in on the fix and the ones who didn't know about it, along with their manager, Kid Gleason, they were rewarded with bonus checks. I believe it was, bonus checks of $1,500 for not being involved. Oh, and the grand jury makes their decision to indict the 8 players involved in the fix, and they charge them with conspiracy to defraud the public. So trial begins another year later. Let's see. Before the trial, the mob did manage to destroy most of the sufficient evidence that would point the Black Sox to the fix. And pretty much the final nail in the coffin for the verdict was the aggressive testimonies that would come out of Comiskey and Sleepy Bill Burns. Sleepy Bill Burns was a former White Sox player. And so Comiskey got fed up, in trial when he was giving his testimony, he got fed up with the defense's questions, and he rose out of his chair and just shook his fist. Sleepy Bill Burns would give an explosive testimony saying that the 8 players should be locked up. It's shameful. What's funny, though, is that when Chick Gandil and Sport Sullivan were coming up with the plan, Sleepy Bill made like a side comment saying that he would actually offer the team more money. I believe he said he would offer them like $100,000. So with the evidence destroyed and the basically rageful ramblings of these 2 guys, the Black Sox are all acquitted and given a non-guilty verdict. So they get into no legal trouble. So because of the grand jury investigations, big changes are made to the governance and management of baseball. So they essentially appoint a new commissioner. Kennesaw Mountain Landis is actually a federal judge, and the reason they wanted him is because he was already a big fan of baseball beforehand, but he would only accept the appointment on one condition, and that is he would he wanted basically complete, unchecked authority as sole commissioner over the whole sport. So he was appointed as sole commissioner, and he created the ineligible list, which basically bans baseball players from professional play. And so these are all the people he banned. Chick Gandil, the mastermind of the whole plan, pitcher Eddie Sucott, Happy Felsch, Shoeless Joe Jackson. His involvement is unclear still. We'll get to more about that in a second. Swede Risberg. Buck Weaver wasn't involved with the scheme, but he knew about it. But he was punished for not telling anyone or doing anything about it. Lefty Williams and Joe Gideon. Now, Joe Gideon played for the St. Louis Browns, but I think he overheard one of the secret meetings, and so he would then bet on the Cincinnati Reds in the 1919 World Series, and then he also snitched to Comiskey about the fix in the first place. So he was seeking a reward, snitching on them, but instead he got a lifetime ban. So all 8, well 9, because Joe Gideon was also banned, they were all denied admittance into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And Shoeless Joe's involvement in the scheme is still controversial, because the Black Sox, the rest of the players testified that he didn't even attend any of the secret meetings. But I think like his batting stats show signs of possible throwing for the fix. So it's still heavily debated. Chick Gandil went on, I think in an interview, he denounced his former team members, saying that, yeah, they deserve to be banned for even being associated with the gamblers, which is rich, coming from the guy who started it all. And yeah, this really did tarnish baseball for a while. Management and governance had to be changed, and people just didn't trust the integrity of the sport anymore. Baseball really didn't come back until the mid-20s. Oh, and also there's a modern superstition that so the Chicago White Sox is still a team in professional baseball. Whenever they happen to do bad or lose, they say it's the curse of the Black Sox. And yeah, this whole treacherous saga was pretty much born from poor management and ownership from not only people like Comiskey, but basically all baseball team owners, because no baseball players really got paid that well.
All right, good job. Yeah, you covered that. Was good. All right, good job. Let's get one more in. Yep.
Can I do mine?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yes, you, go and walk up. I just have to, yours again. Did you send it?
I think so, yes. I'll check real quick.
I got it. It just wasn't there when I first saw it. Okay. Okay. Good job. 2 great ones so far. Let's go and do.
I was worried that you wouldn't have gotten it. I was like, all right, I gotta redo this.
I just had to reload.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and begin.
All right, so my presentation is on the Black Hand. You can see it, can you?
Did I move the mouse over there? Let me move it over there.
Hang on, I found it. Oh, never mind. Now, the origin of it, the main idea of the Black Hand can be traced back all the way to the Kingdom of Naples in the 1750s. But it picked up a lot of use more often in like the 1920s, most commonly in Italian American ghettos and neighborhoods, but also more like lower wealthy areas that just saw lots of crime. Now, what is the Black Hand? It's mostly an intimidation method. This was just before like massive organized crime. So generally, what they would do is they'd go to certain establishments or homes of certain people and basically try to extort them or ransom, basically. And the one method that they would use is marking certain areas with a symbol. Most common is a black hand, thus the name. But they would also do other stuff like paintings of like skulls, knives, maybe sometimes guns. And also for more personal issues, they'd also send like letters to the people that they're trying to extort. If you want to see in a demonstration, here it is.
Stunning.
Do you like the demonstration?
Amazing.
Now, the main idea of quote-unquote black hand societies was coined later on by police and public media. But the main, these methods were quite common in areas such as Chicago, New York, Boston, large cities. And as I said, they were adopted a lot by the American press, and generally, especially with government and law enforcement, it would be considered like a conspiracy. Now, technically, there was not one designated leader of the Black Hand because it's more of an intimidation. But there was one man that was caught that was sort of considered, I guess, the de facto leader of this quote-unquote Black Hand society. His name's Antonio Morabito, and he led most of the Black Hand societies on the East Coast. And while he was arrested publicly to kind of say that the Black Hand societies were done with, the intimidation method continued on past his arrest. And he and his method basically is sort of as like a predecessor of like the mafia families and stuff like that. Wait, I think I hit back. Yep. Now, the Black Hand also did not have just an extortion. They also did assassinations, primarily those who were trying to shut down their schemes, basically. Now, these two men, Joseph Petrosino and David Hennessy, I think is how you say. Was it? Hennessy. Joseph is on the left and David is on the right. Both of them were able to come up with methods to stop the method of Black Hand by working with people that were trying to be extorted and basically arresting those that were trying to basically the ones to pick up the money. But as they became more infamous with the Black Hand societies, they were both assassinated by gangsters and criminals. No, there were also, it was not smooth sailing always. They had many times where they just failed or many of them just chickened out. But for an example, Enrico Caruso, he had been extorted, like this first time he had to pay over about $2,000, which is quite a lot of money. But then after this, he had to deal with quote a stack of threatening letters about a foot high. Now I don't know how much you see this thick piece of paper is right here. That's not a foot. So he had to deal with a lot of them. So he was aided by Joseph basically, the one from the last slide, and he was able to basically bust the scheme. And 2 Italian men were arrested, named Antonio Misiano and Antonio. I don't know how to say his last name, but as they're both Antonios.
Who was Enrico Caruso?
He was the man that was.
Who was
He did a lot of like I think television and stuff like that. Oh, radio operas.
He was an officer.
Yeah, but he was able to basically, with the help of Joseph, stop this this extortion.
Oh, that's come back.
I think it's because it keeps moving back to the corner. Now the legacy, while the methods have been used less often, the name of the Black Hand has been used with many other things. The most common one is the Black Hand, which was a Serbian independence/terrorist movement that killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand and started World War I. The reason why I say independent/terrorist is because depending on who you side with, they have different meaning. But the name Black Hand is also kind of used a lot in movies for like a secret society as well, especially like spy movies and things like that. But the method itself has grown less use over the years. And these are my sources.
Where was Petrosino from?
Don't quite remember. Maybe Chicago. I could be wrong.
I haven't had Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was also Philadelphia, but I was trying to mainly get him for like the assassinations and stuff. Are any questions? Yes. It was mostly coined by the press as saying like that, like it's a large group of people doing this method and just extorting large groups of people. But there wasn't. It was mostly used by just smaller groups of mobsters and gangsters, but the press wanted to make it sound a lot more scary, but it was still a scary thing. Any other questions?
Other than assassinating the Archduke, was there anything that the Serbian, anything else noteworthy that the Serbian group did?
This might be a bit off topic, but mostly just they were trying to get independence from the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. But I think Partridge might know this. They mostly went for people who have tuberculosis. Wasn't that the thing?
That's who they
The assassins were.
Yeah, the assassins had tuberculosis mostly, and the main person who actually shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand was a part of this Black Hand.
Yes.
But no,
They did few terrorists.
yeah, most terrorists, but I guess that's what it depends on who you believe, whose side you're on. That you'll think they're either an independence movement or a terrorist movement.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Oh, we timed this perfect. Good job.
I'm down there.
All right, good job. So we'll pick this up again tomorrow. Nice presentations. So tomorrow, Dane's gonna go tomorrow. And Riley, you wanna go tomorrow? Can you go tomorrow?
No, I wrote that.
You go tomorrow? Hey, can you go tomorrow? All right, you're set then. All right, good job. We had good presentations. All were great.
I mean, just down a little, you're kind of